Hello and welcome to the Self Checkout Show. It's your favorite Christian talk show. Dr. Nancy and Coach Crystal. And yes, we have an additional guest co-host with us tonight, Miss Asha Noel. Hello, 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 Asha. All right, let's kill this music first.
Brother, I like your background.
Let's do that.
There we go.
All right. All right, there we go.
What is going on?
Yep, I'm here.
We can't hear you.
Good evening, Rammers. Okay, yeah,
You
I
got
got a
a-
little lag tonight,
Mhm.
but that's all right. We're going to work through it tonight. Good evening, Facebook. Good evening, YouTube. Good evening, Instagram. To all of you guys, wherever you're watching, we appreciate you. And we want to say thank you for tuning in to the Self Checkout Show. As we do each and every week, please, please, please share, like, and love. Whatever you do, please share it. And then leave us a comment. Let us know that you are watching. We need that. Hey, my best friend Farad, best friend, how are you? We don't care what John Stennis said. You guys, we're back tonight, and we're happy to be with you all. And once again, and please allow me to apologize in advance because there seems to be an issue on my end because I'm lagging. I don't think anybody else is. Since the storm and the cold, I've been having internet issues, but yet here we are, and we are going to work through it. So we are
Yes.
glad to have you guys back. On another Monday night, we are certainly glad to have my sister, Dr. Nancy, back with us. Hi, sister.
Hello. I missed y'all last week.
Last week was good too. I tuned in.
Well, good. Did you all see my
Well,
husband?
every other comment was, "Where's Dr. Nancy? Where's Dr. Nancy?"
Well, we're going to have to reset that internet. We're going to have to get that together.
Yeah.
We have Pastor Martise with us
The
last
lines
week.
might be cold.
Yeah, we do. Totally got to get this together. I'm going to, once we get started, I'm going to probably step out for a moment. My ladies can hold it down. I'm just going to retouch some things and I'm going to come back in. But in the meantime, I want to get this out of the way, get the business out of the way. WTM is looking for partners who will sow $15 a month for the first 5 months of this year, or a one-time seed of $75.
Brother, go out and pull it together. Go out and pull it together. Go out and pull it together. All right, everybody, listen. WTM is looking for partners to partner with the ministry for the first 5 months of the year. It is scrolling across the bottom of your screen. We are going to give Pastor Will a few moments to pull that together because it is choppy. It's breaking up everything for him. But he's asking for $15 per month for the first 5 months. There are 2 ways for you to partner and join us. With your monthly donations, with monthly giving. If you would prefer not to do the $15 a month, maybe you can't remember, like me, and you would rather get it all out the way, go ahead and sow that seed of $75. It's a one-time seed of $75. The ways to give are right there on the screen. Scrolling across the bottom, Cash App, $ W Taylor Ministries, or you can Zelle or Apple Pay at 630-294-8354. We solicit your support. We solicit your money to help us to continue to push and do ministry. And listen, guess what? Maybe $15 a month isn't your thing. Maybe $75 isn't your thing. If you want to give more,
Push.
so what's laid upon your heart? If it's $75, $100, $150, $1,000. I want you to sow those seeds. And if you want to give more than $15 a month, of course, we're not blocking that blessing either. 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. You be a blessing and sow to WTM Ministries. And we appreciate your love. We appreciate your support. And we appreciate your continued push as we continue to go forward and move ahead into the things of God. Pastor Will, you back?
I'm back.
And you sound good.
Oh, there you go. Good. See?
They didn't want you in your living room. That's what it was.
That was it.
That was it. They didn't want him in his living room.
I unhooked every other thing I had. I had a lot of stuff hooked up, so I unhooked it all. Thank you, Dr. Nancy, and for carrying on with us, for us. Tabby said, come on, church announcements. Listen, we got to do what we got to do, okay?
Right there. That good old Church of God in Christ straight. It'll get you right every time.
We got to do what we got to do around here. This lets you all know I could take a month off if I wanted to, and I ain't got no worries. Understand? I'm not saying that I am, but if I did, I'm all right. Listen, in addition to the partnership that we are looking for, I told you we're doing this is and Bishop Brandon Jacobs confirmed that this is the year of big. I'm gonna be big. We are going to be big this year, okay? Big. We're doing everything big. Good evening, Pastor Greg. In addition to the partnership that we are looking for, and I'm glad to say that people have already begun reaching out to me saying yes, we will partner with WTM. Now, in addition to that, I want to share this with you before we get into our main topic tonight, and before I introduce you to our guest host. We are also in October of 23. We did a series of classes that were so phenomenal, and they helped and touched and blessed so many people. And we have been asked to do it again. And after prayer and talking to my pastors, the answer is yes. We are going for it once again. And I want to share this with you. WTM presents the spiritual gifts, back to basics. We're going back to basics, guys, with the spiritual gifts. This is a month of classes designed to edify, uplift, and sharpen the fivefold leaders and lay members. This is going to take place each Monday in the month of April 2024. You have plenty time. April 2024. The first 2 weeks, April 1st and April 8th, will be, by popular demand, Prophetess Paula Dickens. Once again, the girl, she got the goods, y'all. She just got it. And she is coming back to share 2 sessions with us. She'll be doing the gift of wisdom and the gift of knowledge. And then on Monday, April 15th, Prophetess Angela Smith, if you know, you know. And I know, all right? She will be teaching on the gift of discerning of spirits. And the last 2 Mondays of April, April 22nd and April 29th, the one and the only.
Yes.
Dr. Linda Stennis, okay? Yeah. I got the big guns, okay? I got them. And Dr. Stennis will be teaching on the gift of faith and the gift of the working of miracles. And I was very strategic in my planning and asking her in particular to do those 2 classes because, well, I won't be able to share. I'm going to wait until April and let her share it, and you will see why she was chosen for those 2 particular classes. But it's 5 classes. Individual classes are $25 each. If you register for all 5 classes at one time, your seed will only be $100. We will give you one of those classes for free. However, as I do every time we do something, WTM, we are having a January special. Okay. During the month of January only, from now until the end of January, if you give a gift of $80, we'll give you all 5 classes.
Well, let me get my gift together.
$80, we'll give you all 5 classes. It's got to be in during the month of January. Listen, we don't have to be in front of 10,000 people.
That's right.
We don't have to do none of that, pomp and circumstance stuff. I'm not down for that. If I can help one somebody,
that's right,
then we good. All right. So we are asking your help, whether it be getting in these classes, or if you choose not to take the classes, you may not need them. You feel like you may not need them. Well and fine. Then we want you then to be one of our partners to say, you know what, I will give the $75, or I will give the $15 a month, or the $1,000, as Dr. Nancy said, whatever the case may be. We want you to know that every dollar that you send to WTM, we put it into the kingdom. We are building the kingdom. All right. So take your pick or do both. I have people who have said, you know what, just yesterday, actually, somebody said to me, Pastor Will, I'm going to partner with you and I'm going to be a part of all of the classes. I said, God bless your ministry.
Right.
We appreciate that. So whatever you want to do, we appreciate everything that you guys do. Hey, Mama, love you, love you, love you.
Mama.
Minister Kimmy, the COO of Women Moving Forward to God. So glad to have you with us tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome again our guest co-host, Miss Sophistiratchet Chats herself. It's Asha Nichols. Hey, girl.
Hey, brother. Hi, beautiful queens. And hi, everybody tuned in. Thank you all for having me.
Yes, we are indeed glad to have you. Asha is the new host of a new video podcast entitled Sophistiratchet Chats. Tell us all about it, Asha.
Tune in.
Yes, Sophistiratchet Chats. She is me, I am her, and it can also be males that are Sophistiratchets. We do not discriminate, okay? I know some of my Sophistiratchets has tuned in tonight in support of WTM Ministry, so hey, y'all. Sophistiratchet Chats is basically something that I started to build a platform for myself and others that can relate to me and certain life experiences. We talk about everything from health and mental wellness, awareness, prevention, spirituality, of course. We love God over at Sophistiratchet Chat.
Amen.
We love God. We know him. But we get a little ratchet. We talk about entertainment, what's going on in Hollywood, what's going on at the ATL and these reality shows. I love to recap. That's my guilty pleasure. I love ratchet TV.
Me too.
For entertainment purposes only. And some of it can be inspiring. So we talk about that sometimes as well. Some of these Black people are getting their bag, they get into the bag, and they're being very motivational and inspirational for us. So we talk about everything. That's what I love about it. We literally can talk about everything. We talk about it respectfully. We're non-judgmental. We just like to chat. It gets a little ratchet sometimes, but we talk about it.
I like it.
Well,
that's good.
I was able to tune in for the pilot episode, and we had a time, okay? And it may come as no surprise to everybody. I was found to be Sophistiratchet, and I kind of already knew it.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I kind of already knew it. So
yeah, we took a quiz.
A little bit ratchet. Hey, that's me.
Yeah.
It's about balance. I say it all the time. It's to me, it shows an example just to have balance. To me, that's what life is about. You have to balance everything. You can love God, but you can still enjoy life as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? And just about everything in every situation in our life, whether what we're talking about tonight with parenting, our spiritual walk with God, in ministry, our friends, our relationships, you just have to find that good balance. It may not stay balanced all the time, but the focus is to get it back there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when can we catch Sophistiratchet Chats on YouTube?
Yes, we will be tuning in. My goal is to give you guys 3 days a week.
Okay.
So the next time we will be doing Wednesday. Wednesday is where I do most of my recaps, but Mondays and Saturdays will be geared towards more educational topics as far as like how financial wealth and mental. We'll be talking about mental illness next week. So I'm going to try to do um, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
So for right
Now, is
now,
it on
Wednesday,
YouTube or podcast?
YouTube, she said,
it's
right?
YouTube, and I'll be on
That's a video
Spotify. If you just
podcast.
want to
Okay.
listen, if you just want to listen in, it will be available on Spotify podcast. So you can actually listen through that as well. So Spotify and YouTube will be the main channels.
All
And
right.
just
So
send me the
Live.
link.
Sometimes it'll just be videos that I'm going to post, but a lot of times I will be going live because I just like to talk to my people right there in the moment.
all right. So we definitely want you guys, YouTubers. I see you
Yes.
checking in tonight, Juba Strong. Yes, your cousin.
That's my cousin.
Hey,
Yes,
cousin.
all the way. He's all the way in Miami, Florida, tuning in.
Oh,
Shout out to
Nice.
Miami, Florida. I'll see you in July. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. All my YouTubers. Blessings to you, Tamika Melton. Hey, how are you?
That's my
Juba said,
favorite cousin.
look, Juba said everybody got a little ratchet in them, and I'm here to tell you, you ain't wrong. You are not
Yeah.
wrong about that. Nene, how you doing, Nene? Y'all pray for Nene. Pray for
Hey,
Nene.
Nene.
The Steelers lost.
That's my bestie.
And she having a fit.
The Steelers. Ooh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
she going
my
through
son
it.
is probably
they
gonna
going
shout too.
home.
Lord.
So,
Mm.
it's cold in Miami. What's the temperature there? I bet it's not cold like here,
no.
huh?
Oh,
Like,
my family. See, that's why I love my family. My family is all up in here. That's my other cousin, Walida. That said it's freezing.
Well,
On her,
hey, Wiley, how you doing
go
on
out and come on back
YouTube?
in, cousin.
Hey, Tamika Nene says she is in tears. Well, girl, get yourself together. It's always next year.
well, she's in good company.
All
Nene,
right,
you in good company. Will is having a fit
you are
too, I'm
definitely in
sure.
good company. Monique on YouTube. Hey,
That's my
I
friend.
think I think we got a lot of Sophistiratchets coming on through here today. I'm here for it.
Ratchet
Welcome
support.
everybody.
They support.
Welcome to all of you all. So yes, we definitely want you all to tune in to Sophistiratchet Chats on YouTube and to be on Spotify if you like just the audio version podcast. So we are doing big things and we are glad about it. I am really, really interested in what we are here to talk about tonight. Um, we here at the Self Checkout Show, we value, and you all that have been uh, with us, you know that we value friendship, we value relationship of all kinds. And tonight, we want to take a look at the parent child dynamic. Um, because no matter what you see, let me say this, from the outside looking in,
Mm-hmm.
you may think that everything is just peaches and cream, as they say. Welcome, Lil T. Glad to have you with us tonight. But you just don't know, as they say, no one knows what goes on behind closed doors. And our topic tonight is parental resentment. And that's kind of heavy. And I want to take a look tonight. We want to take a look tonight at some of the things that causes resentment from child to parent and from parent to child. We may not get it all done tonight, and if not, that's okay. We will kindly pick it up next week. Antoinette Nichols, hey,
Mommy, that's my mommy.
welcome. Hi, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. And so I want to get into that tonight. And in doing that, I saw something in this book, Shadows of the Past, that I found really, really interesting. And this was, listen, a long time, okay? This will really open our discussion tonight. And this book, of course, is from my pastors, Drs. Curtis and Linda Stennis. It is entitled Shadows of the Past, A Journey to Healing and Wholeness. And good evening, Narisha Tate. Welcome to the show. To open, it says, emotional pain is defined as pain or hurt that originates from non-physical factors. Sometimes this type of pain is the result of the action of others. Often, it is the result of regret, grief, or loss. It's what we call shadows of the past. Emotional pain can also be the result of an underlying mental health condition, such as depression or anxiety. The authors go on to say it doesn't matter what the cause is, psychological pain can be intense and it can affect many areas of your life. Although emotional pain is often dismissed as being less serious than physical pain, it is important that it should be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. To dismiss this is like giving a dark shadow permission to follow you throughout your entire life. This affects both your physical and mental health. Various emotions can lead to psychological pain, such as prolonged sadness, unexpressed anger, anxiety, shame, and guilt. Now, why I found that to be important to our discussion tonight is because when you have resentment, where there is resentment, Coach Crystal, there is anger somewhere. Mm-hmm. All right. And in talking about this, and we have been doing our research and our studies on this particular topic, resentment is defined as a feeling of anger because you have been forced to accept something that you do not like. Now, this is where we get parental resentment from child to parent, because everybody raises their children differently, and that's fine. And in most homes, it's, as a parent, it's like what I say goes. And I think it should be that way. But you find that children are made to do so many things that they either don't want to do, don't like to do, but they really don't have a choice. When you're living under somebody else's roof, you got to do what they say, right? Usually. And so before I let you guys in on this, I want you to take a listen, and my viewers, I want you to take a listen to this.
A lot of parents are hypocrites, right? Yeah. It be the same parents who sit here and say, stay in the child's place. You can't ask me questions. But you're also the same parent who makes your child watch after their sibling. Yep. You make them tend to household responsibilities, cook for kids, take care of grandparents, give the grandparents their medicine, just depending on what type of household, if you have a transgenerational household, stuff like that. But you're also the same parent that say you have to stay in the child's place. Yeah. No. That child has, that child should be able to have a voice and speak as well, because you forced them to mature fastly. You made them develop quickly. You made them become an adult in the household. You made them become a second parent in the household, and then you want to tell them what they can and cannot do. They can't ask you questions, but you put that on them. They didn't ask for that. They didn't ask to be your emotional cushion. They didn't ask to be your punching bag. They didn't ask to be a second parent. They didn't ask to be a caregiver. They didn't ask to be the person who's taking care of things. They didn't ask to help pay bills. They didn't ask to be at 16, 17 to go get a job and help pay bills and stuff like that. We really want to talk about
God forbid she wears some booty shorts, because then she's being fast.
Oh, okay.
You push me in the fast track.
Wow. Coach Crystal, let's unpack that.
You want me to unpack?
Let's unpack that right there. We're talking about parental resentment. Let's unpack that video we just watched.
So what I think that yes, there's a base, between parent and child. I'm your mother, you're the child. These are the things that you're responsible for. There are definitely going to be chores. You have to come in at a certain time. If I say do something, wash the dishes, whatever that is, yes. But what I think is that a lot of times when you have parents, I'm a single parent, and there's a lot on your shoulders, you do try to delegate some of those duties and responsibilities over to your child. Now, I do think that there is a sweet spot there where that child should be able to talk to you back and forth. There should be some type of communication. There shouldn't just be, well, you're going to watch these kids and I'm going to do what I got to do, but then they don't have the opportunity to do the things that they want to do as well. And I think that that's where resentment comes from, is that you've now made me a parent when I didn't have to be, but then you turn around and you ask me, don't have any kids early. You've now made me a parent to, not even a parent, but an adult, to say that household responsibilities and childlike responsibilities are mine, but I still need you to go out and get a job because you're responsible for the light bill and the gas bill because I need some help. So I think that resentment rests right in between there, because sometimes adults don't know where to draw the line. They're still children, and you have to allow them to be that.
So many of you all are coming in on all fronts. Good evening to everybody. Thank you all for tuning. I can't call all your names, but I see you on Instagram. I see you on YouTube. I see you on Facebook. Thank you, everybody. Asha, let's talk.
That was a lot. Um, a lot she said. I'm not gonna lie. It's true, and I agree with Coach Crystal. It's a thin line between you having a responsibility as a child in the house, like she said, the basic stuff. I growing up, me and my sister, we had weeks. We rotated weeks. You knew your day to do dishes, so it was no question asked. It was nothing to talk about. You don't ask your parents where you going, or else you just gonna get that saying, "I'm going to see a man about a dog." You don't you're not supposed to ask that. Okay, it's just certain things you're not supposed to do as a child. But then when you give the child more responsibilities, like, oh, you think you grown, then go pay a bill, or watch your sisters, cook dinner for them. Yes, you want your child to help you because you may be a single parent, but some situations, children can become resentful even in a two-parent household as well, because sometimes you just have a dysfunctional household where you just don't agree with what your parents are doing as a child. And some things, you know, they may not know any better, or that's their choice because they're the parent. You can't control that. But I think resentment comes from a lot of different ways, not just from, oh, you making me do all these chores and take care of my siblings. I'm mad at you for that, versus, oh, I'm living in this house and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a child, but I don't like the fact that I have an alcoholic parent that comes in and disturbs the house at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't do nothing about it because that's the parent. I can't go out. I can't, you know what I'm saying? So it's resentment comes from a lot of different places. So I do feel like it's possible. It does exist. And it's just conversation. Parents have to, I've learned that from having my own child. I'm actually in that stage right now. My son just turned 18, and I'm struggling with what to let go, what to hold on to, what to allow, that's a struggle, because I don't want my child to resent me because I'm trying to be a parent, but I'm trying to control him. It's a thin line.
Dr. Nancy, I see a few comments, and a couple of them are saying what's on the screen now. I believe children's main purpose for becoming resentful is because they are not being heard. Oh boy, what do you say about that, Doc?
Well, I agree with both Coach Crystal and Aisha on tonight. I think there is a very thin line, and honestly, when we picked up this topic, I was like, because because I am a parent that does give my children voices, but I also am a parent that believes, or was a parent because mine are grown now, that believes that children need some direction, right? Direction. They need some correction. They need some guidance. That's what we're responsible for as parents. And I'm big when I'm speaking to young adults or to young children and parents, whenever we're counseling families, to just remind children that parenting really does not come with a manual.
Yeah.
We do the best we can, y'all. We do the best we can, So people and our parents did the same thing. I think that as time has gone along and we've gotten a little wiser, if you will, and all these different forms of parenting have come into play, including gentle parenting coming into play. I think that we've leaned more to the child than so much as, or per se, the adult being the adult.
Yeah.
And I do believe that children have the right to have a voice, but I also think that there are boundaries to the voice that they have. So I feel like they should be able to come and talk to you, but there should be a level of respect.
Oh yeah.
Even when they're saying, I don't like something, or Mom, I don't agree with something. I always told my children, you may not like it in the moment. Do what I asked you to do, and then come back and say, you know what, can we have a conversation? I'm open to the conversation. Let's talk about it. But in the moment when I'm telling you to go do those dishes and you standing flat foot talking about I'm not doing them because I paid my children never paid the bill, but for the kids they had to. I don't know, but I'm not doing the dishes because I had to watch my sister or brother or something like that. Now we got some problems. We have some problems happening. So I think that we've got to be mindful of to what extent we go with this. And yes, can there be resentment? Of course, because I agree with Asha. I'm a child and I have to deal with a parent coming home and let's say being drunk, or I have to deal with a mom who brings multiple men or a dad who brings multiple women. That's not something the child should have to see and or deal with. So I agree with that as well, and I understand that as well. But I think that there needs to be some boundaries and how it's all handled.
I think it's a lot of mixed messages. So when we were little, it was do as I say, not as I do, right? But now there's so many other things. Our parents they was adults. They was old school. So it wasn't a lot of things that they were doing that were going to be out of context that we shouldn't do. We were following them. They were giving example. But today's parents are a little bit different. So you telling me one thing, you doing another. You talking at me, not with me. You're throwing out rules and forcing me to do things as opposed to giving me like a definition of this is why I'm asking you to do this. This is what this is going to make you as an adult. I'm trying to build you up. I'm trying to, give you responsibilities and learn, and so that you learn how to be responsible for yourself. I'm not telling you to wash the dishes just because I need a dishwasher. I'm telling you to wash the dishes because I'm trying to teach you structure. And a lot of kids don't understand.
Wash the dishes when you living on your own.
That's right. You got to learn how to cook. And it's one thing, like she mentioned, you want me to cook for siblings. And guess what? That's okay. You can cook for your siblings, but it's a context in which you teach it. Hey, let me show you how to make these greens. Let me show you how to make a pot roast. Let me show you how to boil a hot dog. Now you're teaching, as opposed to saying, I need you to stand in and be a parent while I'm going to go to the club. Let me run down to the store and get my cigarette.
But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing with that you just said. I think that in a lot of households across America, people are having kids younger and younger.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so when you are 25 with a 5-year-old, you might still want to party. You know what I'm saying? So my point for saying that, and I had that comment up from Ken, from generation to generation, I think things progress, things change. Whereas, Dr. Nancy, maybe when we were teenagers, when I was a teenager, I could go to my mom and say, hey, I think X, Y, and Z. But one of you all said it a few minutes ago. It was the manner in which I came to her. Now, at the same time, Asha, I didn't have to be the adult in the house because my mom was there. But in relation to what possibly brings about resentment. I think that the video we watched, I think that she had a valid point.
Absolutely.
A lot of households are, the parent is stepping out to go and have fun and leaving the oldest child possibly, who could very well be 13, 14, 15.
And
Or
they,
younger.
And he
they
at
see
the
that.
adult, and they don't get to have a childhood.
And that's not fair at all.
It's
I'm
not.
paying attention to that. Kids are much more smarter than we think, and this is way before the technology era. Kids are smart. They watch. That's how they learn most of the time. They watch it and they're seeing that. That's why it turns into resentment and anger. Because if you want me to watch my brothers and sisters while you at work, I understand that. I know my mom getting it out the mud. She got to work 2 jobs. You know, she's a single mom. So I'm going to help my mom out and make sure I had dinner ready for my younger siblings so she don't have to worry about that when she get home. But then when you turn around and you have a single mom who's leaving you at home to watch your siblings because they want to go to the juke joint every Saturday night, that's a problem. And us as parents, I think it'll help the relationship a little bit more is, number one, from what Dr. Nancy said and Coach Crystal said, allowing your kids to come and express something to you, but just do it respectfully. And as parents, we have to allow them to express themselves as long as in a respectful manner, and then take accountability. For what you did. Like, okay, you're right. I'm doing too much. You don't need. Okay, you need a break too. I shouldn't have to have you making your siblings food just because I want to go have a good time. You need to find a babysitter, mama. Sorry, not sorry.
So let's talk about this right here. Ken said, and happy birthday again, Ken. Ken's birthday was just Saturday, so happy birthday to you,
Ken. I missed the celebration.
Ken, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ken.
If my mother cooked something I didn't want, you either ate what she cooked or you didn't eat at all.
Facts.
I know a few people that came up that way. Let me tell you right now, Helen Chambers, she didn't play those games. And she is watching right now. My mama didn't play those games. You're going to eat what I cooked. Okay. All right. But I don't think that, and you all can help me. Y'all have kids. I don't think that should be a cause for me to resent my parent because they had rules.
No.
And a lot of times, some of these kids just bad and rebellious, and they don't want to follow rules and obey authority. Okay.
And I think a lot of that's coming from even the society that we are in right now. Again, I cannot even phantom this whole gentle parenting thing. That's beyond my comprehension level. My level of comprehension, that gentle parenting, because you're not gonna be at 2 or 3 years old and you telling me what to do.
No,
we're not doing it, and you can't even wipe your behind. Something about that is off. That's not gonna happen. And then when you turn around and you do something, then the state wants to tell me now I'm responsible for you. So again, I think that the state, if you will, the government, if you will, has equipped children with a voice far beyond. And I think that's even a lot of times where this whole resentment piece comes in at, is because, they can divorce their parent. They can say whether they want to be with you or they don't want to be with you. They can, but if they don't go to school,
it's a problem.
Then who's in trouble now because they didn't want to go to school? The parent is, not the child.
And it's in the school too. Like, they actually have classes now that teach kids how to express themselves and speak up for themselves, because you have so much going on with kids being bullied, or they are dealing with abusive parents at home and they can't really say nothing. They might be talking to a counselor or something at school. My son actually took a class. I had to go ask to get more detail about this class because I started noticing the difference. Some were beneficial, but some was like, okay, y'all teaching these kids that they could just have a voice and that means that's it.
Right.
So
you're not an adult.
I had to tell myself, like, yes, you can express yourself and you can have your feelings, but as for me in my house,
Yeah.
Come on, put your foot down here.
And then Aisha, who has to pay for the extracurricular activities, and who has to pay tuition if tuition has to be paid, and who's buying these books? So again, I think that children, and even getting back to what Ken said, who has time to cook 2 and 3 meals and or go out and bring another? No, dinner tonight is meatloaf, green beans, and mashed potatoes.
What else I say?
That's dinner. Right. And no, you don't have a choice unless you're gonna go make yourself a sandwich. But even then, guess what? I about that too. So what we talking here?
Right.
That's your lunch for tomorrow. You can't touch that.
Right.
Okay. Listen, and again, ladies and gentlemen, remember, Dr. Nancy said it earlier, when there is no manual on parenting. All right. Kimmy says, I was one of those parents that was like, you will do what I say. But now I find myself listening more to them and asking for forgiveness that's needed to bring wholeness and healing to my family. And I want to stick a pin right there. Because I love the fact that in this, what I hear is, I know I made some mistakes somewhere.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can sit down now with your adult children and say, you know what? I was wrong for X, Y, and Z, whatever it may have been. I love that, because I think that, just like she said, I think it does bring wholeness and healing. And I think it does tear down that resentment that a child may have, because again, they may not be able to express to you what they feel as a teenager because of fear, maybe, or some of anything. Maybe they just don't feel like they can come to you as a parent. Maybe they don't feel like they can approach you for fear of how you're going to react to them. And it's a right and a wrong way to do that. But being able to say to your son, your daughter, you know what, when you were coming up, I did the best I could. I made some mistakes. And for whatever I did wrong, I apologize to you. I think that's a wonderful thing. Talk about that for a second, Aisha.
I agree. That's something that I actually dealt with personally between me and my parent. When I finally expressed to my father how I felt about certain situations growing up, it's like it took a while. It took me to become an adult for him to really listen to me and hear what I was saying. And what I needed from him is just to say, like, I'm sorry. You want to hear that as a child. Our relationship was great after that. I felt like my father finally saw me, first of all, as an adult, as a woman. But
I'm sorry, this comment just made me laugh.
Wait till she went to the room or leave it.
Okay, all right.
But then if your mama caught it the next day, if the dog left something, because you listen, I got in trouble for that a few times.
I'm so sorry. That was just funny.
No, you bad, because I saw it too. I'm sorry, y'all. My people was all in here. That was my cousin. Yep. But it seriously, it brings wholeness. It brings healing when you can finally have that conversation and hear your parent just say, like, okay, I might not have done such a great job in that area, but I did my best. That's really, because that's all you can take at that point. Like, what else can you do? It happened, but they're admitting it now. You know what I'm saying? But you need that. The article that I was reading said something about that. Like, you have to be a growing minded parent. So you have to allow yourself to be open-minded and grow, because your children are growing. Your children don't stay small kids forever. So you have to learn how to grow with your child. So some of your rules may have to be adjusted. It shouldn't compromise where it make your household get hectic, but a conversation has to be had when you see your child transitioning into another stage in life. what applied to them at 8 years old is not going to apply to them at 18, and they're still living with you.
True.
Right. So you have, it's all about communication. You have to have that open discussion and be able to take accountability as a parent and admit, I could have done better in this area. I'm sorry. I did the best I could. That's it.
I think this comment says what you just said. Rules aren't the problem. It's how you explain and enforce them. I totally agree with that. Ken says too many parents are friends with their kids instead of being a parent. That I agree with.
I think that's a different
extent, because I think that parents should be their child's friend. You know, as almost 50-year-old man, my mom is the best thing that ever happened to me. She will always be that person to me. I can talk to her. Even in my younger years, I could just sit and talk with my mom, you know, and not ever to cross the line.
You know, that's what the key is right there, knowing the difference.
Because you got to know how far to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to know. And if you were, no disrespect to anybody, I'm just saying what I'm saying. If you were raised right, you know how far to go.
That's right. That's right.
You know where that line is.
Little friends.
Right.
That's their favorite line. Favorite line.
Charlotte said, I make Mason eat his own food because he won't. Mason is a different case. That's my godson we're talking about. He's a different case. His palate for him to be a little boy is real different. Okay, a lot of stuff he just not gonna eat.
Is he the only child?
And
he's not the only child.
Okay. No, he's the oldest of 3.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I'm not gonna lie. I grew up in a household where you gonna eat what's being cooked, but if you don't want to eat it, my mom wasn't that strict. She allowed us, okay, just go and eat a bowl of cereal, make, you know, as long as you eat, you know, but I did. When my son only have one child, so I asked him what he wanted for dinner, you know, but it was only one. So I think it was a little easier, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't have 4 or 5 kids I need to cook for. It was just me and him most of the time, you know, so it's like, okay, what you want to eat? You know, he had a choice in that.
So, Coach Crystal, what about this? I agree, but it's a problem when not being allowed dinner is a punishment. I don't
want to agree with that.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Not eating is not what you call a punishment. Kids are supposed to be nourished.
Exactly. Everybody's supposed to be nourished.
I think that a lot of times parents don't have. I don't want to say all parents. Some parents, you know, they go to the easy thing. Well, if you don't do this, or if you're doing this, then you can't eat dinner tonight. You can go to your bed, you can go to your room, and you can go to sleep for the night. Or, you know, you resort to the easiest thing, as opposed to, like I said, giving them structure. So you have to resort to things that are going to benefit them in the long run. Okay, so turn that game off. Don't worry about it. Okay. You ain't going outside. Because these are the things that they want. While they are extracurriculars, these are the things that they want. And you have to know your child. Like when Essence was a little kid, no, my son, if I say something like, hey, you not watch TV, he could care less. He doesn't watch it anyway.
Right.
That's fine with me. But if I say turn that game off, then now we got to have a conversation. Wait a minute. No. So you have to know your child. Everything does not work. Every single punishment is not going to fit for every child.
Right.
The way you raise your kids, you can have 6 kids. You're going to have to raise each of them 6 different ways.
Just
so you know. Just so you know.
This is one of the things. I'm sorry, Coach. This is one of the things I'm talking about, because when we talk about resentment, and I'm specifically now talking about adult children who still resent their parents for what happened years ago. And some of it, y'all, let's just tell the truth, some of those feelings of resentment are very, very valid.
Yeah.
They need to be validated. You know, some parents can raise you and know, I might not have did everything the way that I should have did it.
Right.
And they see those things manifested in you as an adult, but you have grown folks that cannot take accountability. I'll never go to her and tell her I was wrong. I did what I had to do. You
And I
know,
think a lot of that though too comes again from just past experiences, what
yeah.
some of our parents went through too. Because again, that whole "do as I say, not as I do." I mean, that how many of us have heard that, and our parents have heard it, and grandparents have heard it, and y'all, let's down and down and down.
That just creates dysfunction.
And yeah, so I think that's why I said, a lot of times people do the best that they know how based off of what they know, all that they know.
Yeah.
And again, every child is different. The books can't really tell us. We just have to make the adjustments as we go. So I think that that's one of the things that we do. Does resentment happen? It does, because some of us, I probably should resent my mama for some of the whoopings I get.
Go on and tell her. Go on and tell her. You want me to go with you?
Now that we talking about it, I should probably resent. Probably right.
So she could say, "Girl."
Right. But again, my mother had structure. Right now I can't even see why I would resent my mother. Seriously, she had structure. She had rules. She was our friend. We knew how far to go with it. We knew when to play, and we knew when not to play.
I know that's right.
So, Tabitha, leave me alone. So I think that that's a lot of, I think that that's what, and we had villages, y'all. Like, right? Then we have villages. We had villages.
And you know what? They had the same mindset, but you had that one or two people that could say, "Okay, not early. Now wait a minute. You want a little too
far." Yep.
Yeah. I just really think that
hey, Will, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Look at what Nene just said. I think we should press into that. Nene, could you share a little bit more and be a little bit more transparent?
Okay, are we talking about this one here?
No, the very last one. Says I'm 45 and I still resent my mom.
I'm sorry, y'all. I used to have my super producer. Job hours changed, and so she would get all these comments, and I'm slow, so I'm sorry. Help me out here. All right, I'm 45 and still resent my mom. If you don't mind, Nene, can we get into that a little bit? And everybody, please remember that the self-checkout show, this is a safe space.
That's right.
We are not here to judge anybody. We are here to help you the best that we possibly can. And this is something that's important to me. I'm glad you all caught this. I didn't see it. She's always chosen my light-skinned sister.
Now we talking about
that's interesting. She
I didn't heard that.
She is wrong. Oh wow. Dr. Nancy, you called it. Let's unpack that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that now for me right there, that's resentment. All the other stuff we were talking about, okay, but when you start dealing with picking one child over the other, I think we as parents have to even be careful in that regard. We always thought it was cute to say who's your favorite or whatnot. And although I have a sister, her name's Melanie, and I've always been my mother's favorite.
Here we go.
Whatever.
But I think that it's important that we're careful because it has that lasting effect. Now, Risha's saying the same thing. Yeah. So do I at 51. And to see, her say that it really bothered her that her mom would choose her light skin. What does that say to the child? What does that say? That says I don't qualify, or I'm not enough, or you're not okay with me. You don't love me like you love this one. That to me is where resentment. Tabitha, could you block her, please? I can't get my thoughts out.
She's about to tell on you.
Right? I can't get my thoughts out. She wants to call my mother and my sister now. But for me, that's where we really have to begin to be careful. Again, when you have more than one child and you pick and choose, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
Let me jump in here really quickly. And I want to hear from Coach and Asha on this topic with Nene also. I personally, Nene, haven't experienced this, but I have seen it happen.
Mm.
I have seen it where it may not have been colorism, but other pieces of a family dynamic where it's obvious that this one, I choose this one over this one. And it is one of the most painful things to watch.
Mm-hmm.
When
It's
you
painful to
have
hear.
a parent who won't outright say it, but they show it that I prefer this one over you. And y'all, this even goes back to biblical days. That's what happened with Joseph and his brothers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So this is nothing new. But you want to talk about real resentment? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the fact that this is a true thing. It still happens where parents choose their favorite child or their favorite children. Am I saying that they love them differently? Not necessarily. I don't think I want to say that. But I will 100% say that there are some parents who show that I like this one more than I like this one.
That's
And
so
that
hard
is
to
not
hear.
good. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
That is so hard to hear because I have 3 children. I can't even imagine. Like, and I'm gonna step out on a limb and say this.
No, Mama, I'm not talking about you at all.
I
You
do
didn't
love
have
my
that problem.
children differently
You
because
have
each
to.
one of them are different.
Yeah.
So I love that each one of them has a different set of requirements. Not that I have a favorite, if you will, but okay, if you will, even when we play the game, the favoritism game, I love William because he's the oldest. I love Kiara because she's the only girl and she's in the middle. And I love Demetrius because he's
the baby.
The baby. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like I can't even imagine or understand loving one more than I love the other one, or treating one any different than I would the other. Like, so how do you deal with that? I'm trying to.
I think where the problem comes in at, it's already a problem that you're treating them different, right? And you're outwardly showing pretty much the world this one is better than. But I think where the real pain comes from is the blatant denial. You do it and then they come to you and they say, well, you treat her better than you treat me, or I feel like that's not true. And then you turn right around and validate that. So now not only are they hurt because they're being treated differently, but they have to now live through a denial on a regular basis. It's on rotation. Because this is not going to be the first time that she said, this is how I feel. She said it to her mother and she's probably denied it. And now, I mean, we grown. You still can't stand on it. You're still, that's where the root of it is. That's how the tree grows.
That creates division between the children when you have a parent like that. My mother and father made it clear my one sister was the favorite, and I never got along with her and created more problems. Let me tell you what. I think one of two things, I'm sure there are more, but for the sake of time, one of two things are going to happen when you have something like this. That one child that's being, the black sheep, the one child, we'll call the black sheep tonight, Asha. I think either one, that child is going to rebel, wild out in all kind of ways.
Or always try to compensate.
Yep.
Or they are going to mentally and emotionally disconnect from the entire family.
I think it's going to be what Dr. Nancy said. They're going to overcompensate.
Yeah, they're going to always be trying to be.
They're going to try to prove.
Yep.
And then
that's what I think too.
There's a comment here. I don't even know her name.
Did you see the one where she said about is this
depends on who they had them with?
Yes.
Yes.
Where are we looking, y'all?
Was it when she said, because Nene said that you know more about the story. So is there a different father?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrina, and I thought that was a great point, Patrina, because I was still trying to comprehend this.
This one
Sometimes
here?
that happens due to who they had them with. It's
that
not
is true.
right. That I can see that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in love with somebody, for whatever reason the relationship doesn't work out. You figure we having this baby. This is my love child. This is the one. You're prone to love that child more than when you have a baby with somebody else, because that's not the same love.
Yeah.
Or even how your family treats them, because a lot of people just can't stand on their own 2 feet.
Yeah.
I was actually going to mention that that does happen when you have children who have different fathers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Patrina, so I'm not speaking on her particular issue. But what I was going to speak on is I do have friends that have dealt with that, where you hear, "Get out of my face! You look just like your daddy."
Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand they hear that and they take that with them through life. My mom doesn't like me for something that I had no control over. You don't like me because I look like my father?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I get on your nerve, like, you can't even stand to look me in my face because
if we talking about it, it's really your fault.
You hear me? That,
you want to place blame.
That's so traumatic.
Yeah.
To go through life knowing that. So on top of you have another sibling that's being treated better than you, just off of who their father is, like you had any control over that. And then you have to deal with now self. Growing up with that self-esteem, just think of the confidence level and the self-esteem of that child growing up and becoming an adult. They're taking that into their relationships with their lovers and their children when they do build a family.
And there's going to be a certain amount of lack.
Hence, generational curses.
Yes.
Why this continues to flow, and you're trying to figure out why your family is so dysfunctional and so chaotic. It's crazy, but I've seen it. Like, grown people are still traumatized by the fact that I'm not traumatized, but I'm the youngest of 6 kids. So, and my family is, our coping mechanism is we joke about a lot of stuff that we probably shouldn't. Still to this day, some things we probably laugh about should like seriously be in therapy. Okay.
Yeah.
But I took it as, I didn't have my siblings treat me no different, but they used to go to my mom and say like how because I'm the baby I got away with so much. They didn't like that. They felt like
Asha,
I got away
happened
with
to me too.
Yeah, being the youngest. So I took that as, okay, I'm just me. Y'all not me. You know, even young, I didn't take that as like my siblings hate me. Y'all just don't like the fact that I'm the last child. I'm the last one in the house. My parents are older. Y'all just mad that they don't care about certain stuff no more like they cared when y'all was older.
Because after a while, you just get over it.
My mama just put me
whatever you gonna do.
Like, you know, she just put me on punishment when I came in the house late. I took that punishment. I was at the party 2 weeks later when my punishment was over. You know, but they was mad. I didn't get beatings or, you know,
not beatings, whoopings.
That too, because my mama didn't beat nobody. I don't want nobody calling.
Right.
About some.
They gonna have they need a cooperating person to do that. She's fine.
Okay.
This one right here.
Which
this
one?
This comment right here.
Oh, okay.
This is where you want to fight somebody.
Yeah.
Because I remember when Kim passed away, and I couldn't imagine somebody being stupid enough to say something like this. You still have 2 left. What?
Some people are just ignorant though. Like they don't. I'm not justifying because that's ridiculous. I couldn't even imagine. But some people just want something to say. You know what I'm saying? Like some people just want to have something to say.
Looking at that, like, why would they say that? Do they say that meaning you still have 2 more children to raise, or they saying it like they just like, oh,
they saying it as if you lost your coat and you still got 2 more in the closet. You're
right,
good,
so
right? And I totally disagree with that.
That's how they're saying it.
Maybe they had been in the dirt.
Coach Crystal, I want you to talk about this comment on the screen. Gianna says, "Can we talk about unhealthy 2-parent households and the resentment we have against our parents for how they treated each other?" and how that defines how we approach our intimate relationships, because typically what you see is what you're going to imitate.
Yeah, because sometimes people stay in places beyond what they should be.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't take into consideration the effect that it has on those that are watching, whether that be your child, friends, family. The people that are watching are taking that in. So as a child, if I see my parents together, this is great. I can go to school, my daddy at home, my mom at home, but my daddy jumping on my mama, you telling me that I'm supposed to accept everything. You can stick it out. You can tough it out. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. You stay in position. So now you go into your relationships and you carry that with you, as opposed to showing her that I can stand up and say, you know what, I'm not going to take this. Or
Yeah.
you have a woman, or no, you have a man that, he's married to a woman and she don't want to work. I'm not working. You going to take care of me. You going to take. So now I'm going to go out and I'm going to think that I'm going to find a man and this is what he's going to do. And when he doesn't, I either leave, I run, or I can't deal with it. I mean, it's multiple things. It could be the slightest thing that you carry with you and not realize I'm doing what my mama did, or I'm doing what my daddy did. It could be big or it could be slight.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, these comments have really got me in my feels. Okay, I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
It's definitely apparently something that needs to be talked about. This is.
Yeah, I want to put this one back up. This is your cousin, I believe. Oh, well, duh, it says cousin. That's us. Laugh through it. I just started seeing a therapist for childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You'll be surprised at the things that you do as a result of what you experienced as a child. And sometimes what's crazy is that you don't even realize that these things happen to you as a child. You're an adult saying, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know, until you actually sit with somebody and they're able to pull things out of you. Well, where do you think that came from? Or who did you see do that? Can you remember a time when? And, the book that I read, I'll have to get the name of it, but it speaks to that and how adults do things. And everything stems from what you were taught, learned, or saw. Everything stems from that.
Everything. Oh, yeah.
And we've been saying for our lifetime, my parents said it, I got to laugh to keep from crying. Yeah. That's a thing. That's real.
That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing.
Real. Yep.
So, oh, wait a minute. A lot of this topic is literally based on historical makeup, and that is true.
It is.
Yeah. That is true. And Asha talked about, when I see historical makeup, I see what Asha said, generational curses.
Mm-hmm.
I see it. And at some point, somebody's got to be the one to break these chains. Yeah. Somebody's got to be the one to stop, because we talked about it a little bit ago. As a child, typically, I would like to believe, and I've got a coach and a relationship expert here. You can let me know if I'm right. I think that when you are a child at such an impressionable age, what you see your parents do, it's embedded in you. And when you get grown enough to have a relationship, there's a great possibility that your relationship will resemble that which you saw as a child.
Yeah.
It's based on historical makeup.
Yeah.
So if you saw your mama getting beat, if a boy or a girl for that matter, if you see your mama getting beat up, I believe that there's a chance that a young lady will attract an abuser.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Come on, y'all. Let's talk about it.
Or become
an abuser.
Yes.
That's why I personally dealt with that in my marriage. Before I got out, thank God, I was the initiator of physical abuse.
Wow.
And that's what I saw in my house. So that's how I felt like that's how I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna get you before you get me, because I ain't gonna go. You're not about to play with me. So I'm gonna swing first. That's That's what it's crazy because even though I was trying so hard to prevent from dealing with what I dealt with in my childhood, it was still right in my house and I was creating it.
It's almost like, you know how you tell a child, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. No, no, no. That's the thing that they attract to the most. So what, just like you mentioned, Asha, is that if parents would be vulnerable enough to have conversations with their kids and say, hey, I stayed in a relationship. Let me give you the breakdown of that. This doesn't have anything to do with, well, you a child, you stay in a child's place. This is me trying to give you a little bit of insight so you don't make the mistakes that I made.
Absolutely.
So let me sit you down and say, hey, this is why I stayed in a relationship. This is what I thought. This is why I thought that was right. I apologize for putting you through that.
And that's why it's important to have a friendship.
Yeah, you gotta have one.
You gotta have a friendship with your children where you're able to talk to them and they're able to talk to you. They're able to ask the questions. And like you're saying, Crystal, you're able to say, this is why.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important.
You have to. And that's breaking that's how you break those generational curses. I took it upon myself to not allow what I experienced in my childhood. That's why I did the work. I went to therapy. I my head stayed on that flow and on that pillow. Okay. Prayer, talking to God, connecting with God, seeking God on how to communicate with my child about this, because I had to find out, like, he went through that too. He went through what I went through in the household. So
you'd be crazy not to think that your child didn't see it or he wasn't dealing
with it. You are not affected by it. As he got older,
that's so true.
The way it came out, I wasn't expecting it. But when he told me, I had to take a step back and was like, wow, like, this really did affect him. So I had to do what Coach Crystal said. You got to sit down. You got to have a conversation. I'm sorry that I took you through this, but this is why I stayed. This is why I did this. But now I know better.
And I want to give a shout out to all these ladies who are saying, yes, I was the abuser.
It's huge.
I initiated it. Shout out to you and thank God for deliverance. Yes.
Hallelujah.
Because we have to be real, you know,
and typically it's the men, but it can be us too.
It could be us too.
But you know what, Dr. Nancy? I heard what Asha said, and it's a learned behavior.
Yes.
Asha felt like, I gotta get him before he gets me.
Yeah. She wasn't gonna get got. She was mad at Medea.
Okay, baby, if the police show up, they come to get me.
Yeah.
A lot of us, believe it or not, a lot of us live, it may be unconscious, but a lot of us live our adult lives like that. We do things because we already feel like this is going to happen. So let me cut it off at the pass.
Because we already know that place. We know that place,
it's
right?
Familiar.
It triggers. Yes, it's familiar. It's comfortable. It's like, wait a minute, I know where I am right now. So
I know what's going on here.
I know what's about to happen. Square.
Yep.
And that might not even be the case.
And
that's
the reaction.
That's what I would.
Yeah.
But
because it's a familiar feeling. Yeah.
Wow.
So the name of the book is called What Happened to You, and it is a book by a doctor along with Oprah Winfrey. His name is Bruce D. Perry, and it is amazing. Okay. So if you got some things that you're going through and you don't know, you can't recognize it, get the book.
I did not at all get into any of the points that I wanted to get to tonight.
Sounds to me like we got to come back all next week.
Hey, Dr. Nancy, it's layers.
It's my word, right? It's layers to this thing.
It's layers. But I really want to applaud those of you on tonight who are viewing, who have fessed up and said, yeah, okay, I may have done this, or it was me, whatever. That's why you have to show your children healthy arguments or healthy communication, Charlotte says. Yeah, Tanya, you did say that. You said 3 months. It's going to take us 3 months to unpack it.
She said
this a lot.
At the top of the hour, she should say
it. Nene, oh, God. I can only imagine. I know you.
Woo.
But listen, if we're honest, a lot of it, most of it is because of what we experienced as children in our houses. These are learned behaviors, and it at some point, and of course, God is sovereign. He is who He is. He can do any and everything.
Yes, Lord.
There is no denying the power of our God. But I also say to you, along with God, it's okay to go to therapy.
Oh,
Yes.
Because the truth of the matter is, some of us need therapy to unpack all of this baggage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we're talking about resentment towards parents, and a lot of you as adults are doing things and living a certain type of way and treating people a certain type of way because of how your parents treated you.
Yep.
It's not everybody's story, but it is some people's story. And there you go, Ken. These are some deep, deep wounds.
Yes.
I did a conference, I think 2 years ago, and the title of that conference was The Scars Nobody Can See.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Those are the ones, man. And people want to know why you act like that. Why? Well, let me tell you what happened when I was 4.
And sometimes you want to know why you acting like that, right? You don't even know why you acting
I
like
have to pour me a glass, okay? Let's talk about it.
Yes, indeed.
Talk about it.
These are some deep wounds and some deep issues, and it's going. Y'all, you church folks, I love all of us, but you can't get over this one with a shout.
You cannot.
You can't dance your way out of this one.
Because when you get done dancing, guess what? It's still right there.
Still there.
Yes. You're going to have some conversations.
Yeah.
And at some point, it's okay as an adult, I'm telling you, but you got to do it the right way now. It's okay to go to your mama, your daddy, and say, hey, we need to have a talk.
But let's remember, if I'm doing what I was taught, a lot of times I don't know how to have a conversation.
Well,
I don't know how to
there's
communicate.
that.
And then you go to your mom and daddy, they don't even know how to have a conversation either.
There you go.
Because they don't want to own it. They'll say, no, that didn't happen. What are you talking about? That's true. That's true.
And when you do have that opportunity to speak to your parents, when you get to that point, I think another thing we need to discuss is the aftermath of that. Because every time you go talk to a person during your healing process does not mean they're going to be receptive.
So that's right.
To what you're saying.
Yeah.
But this is your journey. It's for your healing. So what are you going to do when you go and say these things to your parents and they're still like, oh, well, I did the best I could. That's, you're never going to hear, I'm sorry. So what are you going to do if you never hear, I'm sorry?
Right.
But now you know where that came from.
You have to learn to accept the apology that you're never going to get.
And that's the hard part. That's the hard part. Because a lot of people feel like that apology is going to give them that closure or it's going to give them answers. And a lot of times if that person is not ready, just because you're ready don't mean that they're ready. So it's big that you said that. Just because you're ready doesn't mean that they're ready. And if they're not ready, then you've got to be prepared, like Asha just said, to do the work and realize it's your journey. And you've got to be able to move forward. You got to move through it.
You got to give them that pain back.
Yeah.
See, this type of attitude, Ken says, or your parents will say, what's in the past, living in the past. That type of attitude right there, this is why you have a lot of adult children who don't want to be bothered with their parents.
Yeah.
And it's a sad case.
Yeah.
But when you do not validate my feelings, because y'all,
but again, let's look at it because I'm the advocate. Sometimes some people just don't know how.
That's right.
Sometimes they do, but sometimes there are people that just don't know how, or they're simply not ready to. And we've got to be even okay with that, and we've got to be able to move forward in our own healing is mine, and we have to be okay with with
Yeah.
taking your
Absolutely.
healing. It
Yeah.
belongs to me. It's my right. So whether you're ever able to accept it, whether you're able to own it or not, I gotta be okay with the fact that this is for me, and I'm taking it for me. So
Yeah.
often we always worried about everybody else that's involved in the equation.
And you
In
can't
this situation, you cannot. You have to worry about yourself.
But does this? Are you saying that I should not go to my
No, not
parents
at
and say,
all.
"Hey,
Not
we
at
need to
all
talk"?
saying that.
Go to
Release
them,
it.
but the result of that, because you don't know what the end result after you express
Exactly.
how you
Yeah.
feel, you don't know how they're going to receive that.
Yep.
So after that, you have to know how to deal with, okay, these are my parents. They did this to me. I let them know they did this to me. Although they didn't say sorry, these are my parents.
Mm-hmm.
My only
Yeah.
parents. You don't get no more.
You don't get
no
any
more.
more.
So what are you going to do from then? How do you continue to be a part of their life, allow them to be a part of yours, and love them?
Mm-hmm.
Through
Right
that?
there, where they are. Yep.
They never say I'm sorry. You still got to love them through that. And here comes that
And you
Christian.
got to heal.
But it goes
You
back to
have
what we
to.
talked about during forgiveness and all of those things. It's the same for anybody. If you've been hurt, you either are going to accept the fact that they're never going to apologize, which shouldn't be new because they've never apologized
Right.
in the past.
Anyway.
This is not new. All you're doing now is saying, I'm letting go of these feelings, what's bottled up inside of me.
Right.
I gotta let
I'm
it out.
making you aware of them. Yep.
Because if I don't let it out,
That's
it's
right.
going to affect me continually.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
So I'm
right.
going to give it back to you. Here you go.
Yep.
This
Give
is
it
what
back.
you did.
That's it right there.
And I'm going to
gonna
move
give it back
on.
to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think every man, every person has to do what they feel is right
Yeah.
for them in relation to what we're talking about now. And it's okay if you are watching us tonight or if you're listening to the audio podcast on Spotify. I'm saying to you, it is okay for you to go as an adult child, for you to go to your parents and say, hey, y'all messed me up because X, Y, and Z. And even if you don't, and hear me well, even if you don't get them to own that they did it, even if you don't hear the words, I'm sorry, after you have gotten that off your chest, you have to make a conscious decision and an effort to somehow move on.
True.
You got to.
Yes.
Because if you stay stuck in that moment, it will hinder you from some of the greatest times of your life.
And that's my point. That's right.
You have to say, you know what? I did my part. They're not going to accept it. They're not going to own it. But I want to be healed. I want to be whole. So I am washing my hands of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still love them, but I have to break free from it.
Go forward. Yep.
Yeah,
And it is a hard thing to do. I'm not saying it's easy.
Right.
And you
but
have
I'm
to
saying
understand
it's
too,
necessary for your healing.
when you go to your parents, a lot of times you're still stuck right where it happened. So that might be 15, that might be 18, that might be 30. You have to give yourself the opportunity now to say, you know what, I want to grow up. I want to now, let me be an adult. Let me now take the next steps because I can't stay here. Right. There are people that are walking around 40, 50 years old, they really 10.
Stuck. That's right.
Yeah. And that little boy in you, that little girl in you needs healing.
They need it.
I can't remember what show it was. We talked about this some time ago, or maybe it was just me. I don't know if it was, but it happened on this show where we still, as whatever age you are now, it's like you can still feel the pain from when you were 10. It still hurts. And don't you dare let nobody tell you, oh, you ought to be over that by now. No, I'm not. I'm not over it.
I'm not.
You don't get to decide when my wounds heal. Right? But as we get older, that's it, Apostle Felicia Oliver, we need soul care. As we get older, we got to make some decisions. Because I don't want what happened to me when I was 12 to affect the rest of my entire life, to affect all of my other relationships,
Yep.
because that little boy still speaks, right? It's so many layers to this. Oh my God.
So many.
My favorite word, layers.
I want to ask all of you that's watching right now, whether you're watching by YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, I want to ask you, if we continue this next week, will you come back? Put some hearts on Facebook, leave a comment, let us know. If we come back and finish this off, we may not finish it, but if we come back and
continue.
Tanya already told us 3 months. They coming back. We don't have to worry about it. They coming back.
We're going to label this part 1.
Right.
And share with us. Look at that. Tamika said she'll be back. I'll be back. How many else of y'all coming back?
See?
Absolutely.
They're all coming back.
They're all coming back. Let's heal together, y'all. Come on.
Wait a minute. Aisha, did you just raise your hand?
I did.
Oh, well,
she was coming back a long time.
We already knew that.
You don't know what this is. So powerful that we are able to share our stories one to another, and grow from it and start healing. Because for some of you tonight, I believe that you really needed this conversation to happen tonight so that you could begin your healing journey. I want you to know that healing is available to you. Whatever emotional wound, mental scar you have that you're dealing with, and some of you are like me. I carry hatred and resentment for many years. And I talked about this a few months ago on the show, but I carried it for so long from what happened to me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It wasn't my mom, of course. It was something, if you watched, you know what I'm talking about. But the moment I decided I'm never going to see this person again, I'm never going to get an apology, I'm never going to get none of that, I made an effort to say, Taylor, you got to let it go. You've got to move on. You've got to heal. Yes, I went to therapy. Yes, I'm obviously I'm a pastor. Of course I pray. But I if I can just be honest, I needed more than prayer in this case.
Yeah. Yeah.
I needed to talk to somebody. Okay? Because in addition to that, I was also still halfway grieving the loss of my brother, my sister, my dad. All happened within 7 years. So at this point, I don't know what's happening. I don't know which way is up. But I needed some therapy. I needed somebody to talk to. And it's conversations like this that will help you begin your healing. This show, our motto here is where we take an honest look at what's in our hearts, our minds, and our spirits. And sometimes what's in our hearts, minds, and spirits is pain.
Yeah.
It's pain that some of you have never spoken of before tonight. So I commend you for opening up and sharing your story with us tonight as we share ours with you. But again, healing is available. And I would be remiss if I did not say to you, if you do not know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, tonight would be a good night to get to know him. All right? Because with all the stuff that we have going on, y'all, it's 2024. Let me tell you right now, it's better to have them and not need them than to need them and don't have them.
Hello.
Here? Okay? Listen, I want you to know that this book and the book that Coach Crystal talked about, I want you to know that this book is a help, a major, major help. Shadows of the Past. And what we're talking about tonight is definitely a shadow of our past. And that is the fact that many of us are harboring resentment against our parents for something years in the past. I want you to know that you can get over it. You can get through it. you can get past it. All right. So if I have this book, I have an extra one too. I want to send this to somebody. I want to send this to somebody just to be a blessing to you, because this book really helped me, and I want to make sure I want to be able to sow this into somebody else. I don't need to. I only need one. I'm gonna pick somebody, and I'm just gonna send it to you or sow it into you. But listen, I see all of y'all saying you'll be back next week. That's a good thing, because we are going to pick this up right where we left off, and we're going to talk about a few more things in relation to this. I wanted to talk about unresolved emotional strain, not acknowledging changes in roles and responsibilities, because I think one of you talked about that, like 8-year-old, you treat them a certain way, but when you get 13, you got to switch up.
Mm-hmm.
Because responsibilities and roles change, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about that. And I also want to talk about expressing criticism and invalidation. If we can get to it, we want to talk about that. If we can get to it, we want to talk about that. How you say that first name?
Where?
Is it? I think this is one of us.
Oh, Taina, that's my friend. Taina.
I'm going to tell you, since you asked first, you don't have to buy this book. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to throw this book into you. Give your information to Asha, and I will make sure that you get this book, Shadows of the Past. All right. And otherwise, I think anybody else, I think you can purchase it on Amazon. I will find it. If so, I will put it in the comments. You can go back to see it. Coach Crystal, the other book that you mentioned.
It is called What Happened to You, and it is a book by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce D. Perry.
What Happened to You? All right. So I will try to get information on both of those books and come back and put them in the comments so that you guys could go and purchase one or both of those books. Goodness gracious. Coach Crystal, Dr. Nancy, Asha, thank you, ladies, so much for chatting with us tonight. And
thank you.
Of course, we are definitely glad to have Dr. Nancy back. Your presence was missed last week. We're glad you're better. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Asha's coming back with us next week. I'll be here. Coach Crystal will be here, and Dr. Nancy will be back with us. I'm Pastor Will. This is your favorite Christian talk show, the Self-Checkout Show. We love you guys, and we'll see you back next Monday night right here at 7 p.m. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.